Welcome to another episode of the Prep Coach Podcast. Episode with MG and MT. Scotty obviously away. He's enjoying himself in Greece at the moment.
Figurine Kole.
Oh,
Figurine Kole also joining us.
where did he get that made?
I think somebody ordered it for him when he did his comp. This is the Team U Scotty Murrah.
So it's anyone that's listening not watching, it's like a little figurine puffed up doll of
It's a Kole teddy bear. It's a jacked Kole teddy bear.
Yeah, of him doing a
front double bicep. Yeah, that was a big boy.
Kole,
the new part owner of Optimum Nutrition and Training.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that? You just brought it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I haven't made the announcement. But yeah, anyone who listens to the body now has got the inside scoop. But yes, obviously with things, heading the way that they've been heading, and Meave and I started this place. Well, Meave started a long time ago. This is Maeve's baby. But, we opened up here 8 years ago, man.
Yeah, wow.
Is that mind-blowing for you?
Yeah.
Because you helped me roll the sled track.
I remember.
You helped me paint.
Yeah, I know.
So
it's been 8 years.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Crazy, right?
Jesus.
So a lot's changed, and, we've got multiple things going on. And with lots of balls in the air and not wanting to let either ball have less attention, it was really, really important to have somebody come on board who, is not only a hard worker, but believes in the vision and believes in the long-term plan, and is going to help me put the work in to continue this place growing rather than it just staying the same, evolve, right? So Cole's passion is, anyone who knows Cole's wears his heart on his sleeve, hardest worker, brainiac, and somebody I can absolutely be in business with. So Cole's going to be coming on to join Meave and I as a 50% partner in this business.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Congrats to him. He's earned it.
Yep.
The future is very bright for Owen and T now. So
how many PTs you have? Because there's a couple of new ones, right?
Yeah. So, most people know that Chin Chin's been here for a little bit now as well.
Yeah.
We've had Bree as well for a long, long time. Bree's been here since probably 5 of those years, maybe more. And now the great Luke Morgan, who's one of my athletes, so Luke's a gun. Luke will be hitting the stage season C as a first timer in fitness, but Luke's business is he does group classes actually out in the park in Thornbury here in Melbourne, mornings and nights. But he's got a huge following for his group classes. A lot of mums and dads, but now wants to venture into that one-on-one space. Perfect. And he's got the perfect sort of clientele. So we're so pumped to have him. There was actually a day earlier this week, was it Monday? Or might have been last week, but I was coaching. Meave had brought Talia in. Kole was coaching. Chin Chin was coaching. Bree was just heading out the door, but had been coaching. And Luke was doing one of his 2-on-1s here. And I was just like, what a great group of people.
Would have been heaving in here. Yeah, it would have been awesome.
The level of professionalism, the type of people that I want around. Certainly in my business, I just had this moment of just feeling really kind of proud of how far we've come, and knowing Cole's now coming in as a partner. It was just how did I get here?
Yeah, well, I put a lot of hard work.
How did I do this? But it was just awesome. The right sort of people. So
perfect. We've got a lot of questions, and we didn't get through any last week because
we did nationals.
We just did nationals review, which a lot of people really enjoyed and loved, and we got a lot of clips taken of it as well.
Man, I enjoyed it. I think everyone could tell how much you and I enjoyed doing that.
100%.
We don't just say we love it; we fucking love it.
We do love it. Yeah,
we do love it.
So I kind of put them in some kind of logical order, with the most important one at the top, from the great man Grayden.
Oh, what a ledge!
Classic pro.
Can hear this.
He asked, "Why are you boys so handsome?"
Grayden, that is very, very kind.
Coming from someone who is the most ecstatic human being.
Grayden's maybe the best looking bloke I've ever seen. And I'm married. I've got a wife, happily married, but he is a damn handsome human being himself. So, man, let me just say that the camera is great at hiding all the imperfections, and you get to see me side stage at comps when the lights are really dark. Yeah. And that's the only reason I look handsome, is because you can't see me, bro. Him, on the other hand,
I think it's going down, I'm turning 40 at the end of this year, so...
You don't look a day over 30, man.
Actually, I went to the doctors this morning, I didn't even tell you, to get a checkup on a couple of things, and he said, you're now getting to 40, you might want to start testing these things. I'm like, fuck. So I got to get a blood test. I hate needles, absolutely hate them. So I'm upset with myself for going to the doctor because now I put myself in a position where I need to get a needle.
Yeah, but I know you, and I know how like on things you are. And
Yeah.
as much as you hate needles, you will do everything that you need
Yeah,
to
I know.
stand up
So
there.
probably tomorrow morning I'm gonna get a faster blood test.
So I have venesections like
I know.
all the time. So
Well, I don't know why I'm not complaining to you.
and so many surgeries, and
Yeah.
so I'm used to it. But you're not deteriorating at all. You still look $1,000,000, and you're still performing very well.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah.
So,
But anyways, thank you, Grayden. Appreciate that question.
which we didn't answer, by the way.
Yeah. All right, so let's just quickly go through a couple. So, do you give your prep clients meal plans? All of your clients?
Not every single one.
Not every single one. Yeah.
But like most, I do, and the reason is because what I find is the more variables I can remove, the more linear the results tend to be.
Yeah.
So like if you're macro tracking, I've got clients that do macro tracking and prep, but then there's also periods where we'll like collaborate on a day's eating to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's typically someone who's very experienced and done it for a long time. But if you keep subbing foods all the time and your scale weight isn't changing, as soon as I tend to put people on a system that's exactly the same, it tends to break through all the time.
Yeah.
And whether it's the change in food volume, whether it's the changes to fiber, whether it's the meal timing, consistency always wins.
100%.
That's what I've found over the years. Yeah. So if I've got someone who's struggling and he's tracking, I'll take him off.
Yeah.
As soon as I take charge of worse.
I pretty much do the same thing as you in a sense of if someone's really, really good at macro tracking, I will then collaborate with them on a meal plan or a day of eating for them and kind of lock that in place. And then if I feel that I need to review their MyFitnessPal or anything like that, then I'll ask them for screenshots, screen recordings, those kind of things. And then there are some people that are just not a macro tracker and they are just meal plan diehard.
Yeah.
Which is fine. So, but yeah, when we get really close to shows, then whether they're one or the other, it needs to be consistent.
For sure.
And there's certain things that we say, you need to remove this, you need to do that, you need to, so you need to do that.
Yeah. And I've got like some recent examples of clients that have had great success doing both things.
Oh,
so for example, Chin Chin, if you look at Chin Chin, who, dominated last year, meal plan the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
Poppy just won her pro card in swimsuit. She tracked, but was always letting me know what she was doing. And of course, she just eats the same things over and over again. So like consistency, the underlying factor is consistency is key.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's tracking and changing food all the time and maybe your results aren't where they want to be, I would suggest giving a consistent meal plan a go. See where you sit after 2 weeks. If you respond perfectly, maybe it's just what your body needed.
Yeah. Also, it takes all the guesswork out of eating, shopping. I remember I knew exactly what I needed to buy when I went to the shops, what aisles I needed to go in because I ate the same thing every day.
Yeah.
I macro tracked it, technically.
For sure, but it was the same.
But it was the same thing every day.
Yeah, one of the things I used to hate in the early days was like getting to the end of the day, tracking macros, being 12 weeks out and being like, oh, I've got 19 grams of protein, 7 carb and 3 fat. What am I going to build? Get rid of all that. Yeah. So
you should already know in advance what you do.
Just gets rid of all of it.
Do you let clients enjoy special occasions during prep and have a sensible off-plan meal, like a refeed, depending on how they are tracking, how they are responding?
Yeah, again, depending on how they are tracking is the big thing there. Sometimes, yes, depends how much notice I've got. And if I can forward plan it, one of the things that, you and I use the same systems and the same methodology, so I kind of speak for both of us here. We forward plan the whole prep.
Of course.
So one of the things I do when I, sit down with a prep athlete is like, let's look at the next 28 weeks and I'll bring the calendar up and every week he's got a plan and a plan target and where you're supposed to be by when. But one of the things I look at is as I scroll down the prep with the athlete, are there any dates that I need to know about?
Yeah.
So if you tell me 18 weeks out that you've got your sister's birthday or whatever it is, maybe we could allow for something that's off plan, but it would still always be sensible. And I would still have a say in it. It's not a free for all.
No.
And it depends on how you progress up to that point. And typically I'll always build a little bit of fat into every prep at certain periods to make sure that, there's going to be some plateaus and some stops, but it's never a free for all. Most of my athletes don't even want it. By the time they get to that point that they thought they wanted a day off for their sister's birthday, they've lost 8 kilos. They're loving the process so much. Like, I want to just bring my container.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You would see that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, you need to plan for it, know it in advance, and then build some structure around it, and also have a conversation of if they are going to eat an off-plan meal, and you're going to go to a restaurant, show me the menu.
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I
I've
want
done
to
that
see the
too.
menu. Okay, this is what I would select. Ask them to do it steamed, not fried. Ask them to do not like condiment on the side, that kind
For
of
sure.
stuff. So there's ways around it, but it's rare. It's not a common occurrence in a prep.
Would you do it?
Myself?
I
No.
would. I would.
I wouldn't do it. No.
Neither would I.
No. I'll just Coke Zero it at the restaurant, and I'll be like,
Well, you did that.
yeah, of
It
course,
was time we
yeah,
caught up on Friday.
yeah.
But like, I hate that feeling of like, could I have done a little bit better?
Yeah, no,
I hate that feeling.
I
So it's like,
I wouldn't do it.
I also like, I've said this many times, I love to be the guy at an event or a party that's eating out of a container and everyone's like, why are you doing that? How much calories should I be eating?
1,001 questions.
Yeah, how many calories should I be eating?
Do you try to avoid putting clients on super low calories under 1,000 and high output for long periods of time towards the back end of prep? That may put them at risk of muscle loss. We don't. We want to avoid it. Yes, we do. Of course, we want to avoid it. Sometimes it's inevitable, but normally it's only for a short period of time, and sometimes it just takes that to get to where you need to get to.
I want every client to eat so much food and do no cardio.
Of course.
But like, I'm also willing to do what it takes to get someone in the right condition. But I'm certainly very mindful about, how hard I push people for how long and how far out they are and how long they're going to be able to sustain that.
Yeah.
And that's come with years of experience. I know how hard I can push someone in a real big dig, and I know when to pull up. And I think that's, part of what the art of coaching is. And again, that's just come from years of experience. But every coach wants every client to eat the most and do the least. Some, you might get like a Mads who can get inside out on 2,500 calories doing fuck all cardio. And then you might have a 1,000 calorie person doing 5 45-minute sessions per week. But if they're both getting the results required for the goal in a safe way, it is what it is. Like,
yeah, I guess if you're a coach listening to this as well, sometimes more isn't better. Try a strategy of actually backing off a little bit, reducing the steps, reducing the cardio, giving them more food for a couple of days, a week maybe, and actually you'll find that you don't need to keep digging them all the time. They'll respond, and then they will see progress after that point.
I mean, if you're a coach and you've designed a prep for your athlete, you should have across, let's just call it a 26-week prep. You should have what we would call a dig phase, a slowdown phase or a refeed phase, another dig phase. You're not just digging for the whole 26 weeks. So like, we typically would structure our preps if we're saying 26. I always go hard for 6 to 7 at the start.
Yeah.
Then I slow things down for normally 2.
Yep.
Then I dig for 5. Then I slow for 2. Then I dig for 4. So I'm digging for longer when there's more fat on the body because I feel like the chance of losing muscle tissue is very, very low. Yeah. The longer the dieting phase goes, the deeper down the rabbit hole, the higher the risk for losing tissue, the shorter the dig phases are.
Sure. Yeah.
And obviously, as we get closer, I'm using more expenditure as well. But you've got to remember that the dig phases are shorter too. So that's how I balance that trade-off.
Yeah. And normally mentally they can cope better
for sure
with things like that if they know they're time boxed. Yeah.
Definitely.
But
what we don't do is we don't hope and we don't guess.
No.
We approximate the whole journey.
Yes.
Sure, we make adjustments and things change slightly, a week forward here, a week back there.
Of course.
But if you do it that way and you need to lose this amount of weight in this amount of time, you know whether you're tracking correctly or whether you're behind or whether you're ahead, and it allows you to make better decisions.
100%. Yeah.
So,
how do you know how many calories to cut when a client starts prep? Knowing that people are different metabolism, different start points. How do you know what the first cut needs to be? I would say the first cut is always the biggest because obviously you're in a surplus. You're going to take the surplus away to maintenance and then drop the maintenance to a deficit. So the first cut is always the biggest.
Yeah. And I also just said I go hard at the start.
Yeah. So it's going to be a decent cut, of course. How much to cut? Yeah. It's so independent.
Yeah, well, it just depends how big of a deficit you want to create.
Correct.
If you've worked with someone for a reasonable amount of time and you're starting prep at maintenance, if you know their maintenance number, 700 to 1,000 calories is kind of the generalized minimum I head to. Like I go probably the higher end, to be honest.
Yeah.
For the same reasons I said before. If you've got a lot of body fat at the start of prep, even if you're in condition, you've got the most body fat for you at that period. You can afford to be reasonably aggressive. You're not going to feel the trade-off or down-regulation for 4 weeks of digging, as you would at week 14 or 15. So I always say go hard. You can always pull things back.
100%, yeah.
What is that number? It's so different for everybody, but there's some generalized...
Yeah, I've done as little as 400
For
off,
sure.
and I've done as much as say 800
Yeah.
to 900
Yeah.
as a first initial cut.
Yeah.
And also too, we're implementing the expenditure as well.
Yeah.
We're normally putting in cardio at that point as well. It's not just all calories.
Yeah.
There's a bit of both for sure.
And I've even gone higher at the start and got like really fast results in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And what I found for me is that's, especially over the last 8 to 9 months, has helped set me up for success because I feel like all of my clients are coming in the right condition now.
Yeah.
Whereas 5 years ago, I was 4 to 5 weeks short.
Or
and I don't make that mistake anymore.
You were starting slower.
I was starting slower.
Slower, yeah.
Now I start fast and then I pull it back and
Exactly.
I tend to not miss the boat anymore.
Yeah, it's perfect. Do you guys set different calories and macros for clients on training days versus rest days?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I actually commonly don't, but on a rest day, I'd implement some expenditure.
Yeah. I'm the same. I commonly don't as well,
Yeah.
but I do sometimes.
Yeah.
It just depends on what that person does for work is the determining factor for me. If it's somebody that's like really, really active versus someone who just sits at a desk on their rest day, that is something that I consider.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, no, I don't.
Commonly don't. Yeah. And the sometimes what I do is in an off season, if someone's eating so much food, that on a rest day they just feel like they can't eat that much. Yeah. Then they're like, okay, just back it off a little bit.
I think for me, because I know that if my average calories are this for the week anyway. If you're 10 weeks into a diet and you're starting to feel, a little bit tired, that extra carb on the day you're doing more, you don't even really feel it anyway.
No.
So it doesn't, for me, give that perceived benefit. So I just prefer to keep things linear, and it takes the risk out of people going overs too much on the days they've got a bit more and just letting a bit more in their meal if they're tracking. Or
think about how many calories are you burning on a training session?
300, 400,
yeah, so it's like
400,
2 to 350. Like
it's better.
It's not much. Yeah. Just wondering your thoughts on looking at calories and macros over a full week rather than day by day. If I'm slightly over on one day, slightly under on the next day, doesn't make an overall difference. It's kind of, I put this in order because it's kind of similar, right?
So really macro and nutrition based today, which is good.
I always say that, especially if you're in a deficit, you want it to be constant. Right. So if there's days where you're under, you're over, or your steps are under and over, or your cardio is under and over, you're going to have inconsistent results.
For sure.
So you want to make sure that your expenditure and also your intake is as consistent as possible on a daily basis.
Everything that you do in prep, everything that you've said, even meal timing, sleep, the more consistent it can be,
the more robotic you can be,
the typically the better your results are. So I agree with you there 100%. I mean, if there was a variance of say 2 to 5% on a Wednesday, but then on the Thursday it was corrected, I just look at it. The best way to make these assessments is like if you think about your window as a 24-hour period, it's the easiest way to keep on top of things.
Yeah.
If you start to a few grams here and then you make it up there, and
if you go back to what we just said, why is there variation if you're eating consistently on a meal plan or consistent calories and macros?
Okay.
There shouldn't be a variation.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day, when you and I have been in prep,
it's
the same.
And then when you wake up, what you're seeing and what shows up on the scale, it's just got so much more merit and validity because of the fact that everything was the same. So you're not trying to pick apart why there was a spike or why, if everything's the same and weight went up and the only difference was that your sleep was shit. It's not so easy to understand why.
To understand, right?
If there's 10 things to assess, it's like
it's hard to know.
Could be this, or this.
Yeah.
Just be consistent today. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Like that's really,
because you probably do the same in your check-ins. That's what I'm looking at too. If I see a fluctuation in weight, or there's a dip, then there's a rock. I'm looking at that data. I'm looking at sleep data,
for sure.
What their adherence, and I'm trying to okay, where are they in their cycle?
Without a doubt. Even now. And you'd have this too. How many of your athletes are so good that when there's a spike, they'll tell you the reason the spike's there?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know I'm up today, but it's because of this, and this, and this.
I ate late last
because
night.
You've educated them so well that they're telling you now why they're up, so that you aren't having to make that assessment.
Yeah, 100%. Totally.
Or thinking that they've gone off plan or something.
Yeah. Do you have any vegetarians or vegan clients, and how do you navigate their prep, especially if they're vegan? I do.
So do I.
Normally, their protein macro needs to be a little bit higher than what a non-vegan or vegetarian needs to be because the quality of their protein is a little bit less.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're just giving that a little bit more of a buffer. You also need to be mindful too is that sometimes their fiber is going to be a little bit higher than a non-vegan or vegetarian person because
that's
of what
purely how they get their protein.
how they get their protein, the fact that they maybe eat a little bit more vegetables or grains in general, and also their fat macros are going to be a little bit higher just because of what they eat, not because
No,
you
just
want
to
them
get
to have
protein, most of it has fat in it. Yeah.
exactly right. So generally, their macro split's going to have a little bit more protein, a little bit more fats,
Yeah.
and that's just you're going to see that. So when you are making an adjustment for a vegan or vegetarian, I try to pull the carbs a little bit before just pulling the fats down because they're not going to be able to actually
It's really hard to get.
they're not going to be able to put their food together if you bring their fats really low.
How many vegan clients do you have that don't get their day's protein without using a powder? Not many. It's hard, right?
They're using a powder. Yeah.
That's typically where I see, probably, protein powders used the most.
And I'd recommend it, to be honest, because of the profile.
Without a doubt.
Profile.
It just means that, especially if you're, being mindful of your total calories and you are trying to keep carbohydrates and fats on the lower end because you're dieting, there's not a lot out there as a vegan that is a sole protein source that to get the amount of protein you need is going to keep your carbs and fats low.
Yeah.
So a powder is the only option in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
So.
And there's some really good powders now. It's really good isolates.
Yeah.
That aren't just from one vegan source. They're multiple sources, so they cover the full amino profile. So there's some really, really good ones out there.
Yeah.
How do you deal with clients experiencing gut issues during prep on calorie restriction and eating the same food? Do you monitor their gut health in their prep and in their off season as well? There's one, like they mentioned about eating the same food all the time. I think there's a little bit of there's more of a mental thing going on, to be honest, with the gut, in a sense that when you go into a prep, you realize how good gut health and digestion can be.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because when you're eating consistently the same food, and it's probably, let's just call it cleaner food or less processed food, you realize that
more whole food, yeah.
Yeah, you realize that how good digestion can be, how flat your stomach can be. So then when they go into the off season and they probably add more variety in, now they've got these digestive issues. They don't really have issues, just their digestion was not as good as what it was.
Yeah, and it's also just the reintroduction of things like,
of course,
the body is great at adaptation on every level.
Yeah.
And as bodybuilders, we eat. MT and I've literally told you in this episode 5 times to keep it consistent. And when you keep it consistent, it means that you tend to keep your nutrition rather rigid. And then what happens is, and your body adapts to that, and your digestion is great. But then when you come out of that, adaptation will eventually occur again. But there is definitely some digestive, disruption when you're introducing new things. And if you're going from a mainly whole food diet and you're bringing in processed stuff, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to adjust.
What are you starting to do now? You're starting to have a whole lot of dairy, or you're starting to have a whole lot of gluten. Of course, you're going to have issues. Yeah. Oh, I introduced protein bars and now I've got gut issues. Well, of course.
and that's the other thing about like bodybuilders being rigid and eating rigid. Things like micronutrient profile. If you're eating the same things over and over again, are you getting a full profile of micronutrients? Depends. Is your coach looking at it? Who knows?
Yeah.
But these are also things that, we would consider and have a look into, because as soon as you change that eating style, like if I use my wife as an example, who's a clinical nutritionist and sees people for gut health all the time, one of her major, I suppose, appointment consultations is people that have gone through prolonged diets who are now going back to what would be considered more normal eating, higher calories, different foods that are having major digestive disruption.
Yeah. Also, too, is I'd give people advice to look into dairy, lactose, gluten, and high FODMAP foods.
For sure.
Yeah, like if you've got
sugar alcohols,
if you've got any of that stuff in your diet,
yeah, and it'd typically be process of elimination.
Yeah, they're the ones that are going to be the biggest culprits for sure. And it also too is in prep, be very, very careful of soluble fibers.
Yeah.
When they're having those cognac noodles and all that kind of stuff.
Man, I've seen many a guts ruined from those.
Yeah. So just be really, really careful of some diet foods that keep you full but can absolutely wreck your gut in prep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
All right, let's move into training. How do you change your client's training in prep and account for volume and not doing too much unnecessary trying to maintain your muscle? I think we've kind of spoken about this.
Lots.
Yeah.
I think we both use the same thing. We're probably bigger on intensifiers and understanding that at some point moving load, as in weight specifically, is going to get a lot harder, and of course it carries a high risk.
Yeah.
because you're dying down, your recoverability is shit. So we just use other methods and strategies like intensifiers to still be able to push the muscle to failure without the risk, I suppose, of, injury or, recovery being diminished too quickly.
Yeah.
So when I say intensifiers, I'm like 2 sets of 8, which are heavy, rather than do 3 sets of 8, which are heavy, 2 sets of 8 and one of 15 plus, where you bring the weight back to 75 to 80% and you go for a high rep range to finish.
Yes. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, like a pyramid rep scheme or rest pause or drop set or like those intensifiers as well. This person's saying about doing too much in prep. Like, we don't normally increase the volume of their training in prep. Sometimes we actually decrease it slightly, right?
We pull things out,
Yeah, so we're not increasing someone's training volume during prep. We're most likely maintaining it or even dropping it slightly.
Yeah, we are still pushing people to train hard and find progressive overload where possible.
Yeah.
But we're not taking 18 sets to 21 to 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Because you want to talk about putting yourself in a position to lose tissue, overdoing it to a point you can't recover, and you're just training because you think it's doing you good, but it's junk. It's not going to serve you anything. Yeah.
What are your clients' workout splits? 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days? And what do you guys do yourselves? Personally, I love 4-day splits.
Well, most of them on a 5s.
Most of them on a 5s as well.
And most of my splits would be push-pull legs, full body front, full body back.
Okay.
So anterior, posterior.
Yeah.
So which basically just means the full body days are like chest, shoulders, quads.
Yeah.
And the anterior days are like handies, glutes, back.
Yeah. Okay.
So just to get the additional volume I want in each body part.
Yeah.
I also run 4-day splits.
Yeah.
Depends on I train 4 days at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just with time and everything going on, it works really well for me. So I do a push-pull legs, full body.
Yeah.
Which just changed, where it was pretty much full body. But that was because of my knee injury.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just had to split the volume. Now that my knee's, recovering, I'm now able to have a dedicated leg day. So, 5 days.
5 days, same for my clients. Most of them are 5. Some of them are 4 by choice due to work, those kind of things. Some of them are 3 by choice due to injuries, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But most of it is 5 days.
It also depends on the category.
Do you have anyone on 6?
I do, but the 6 day is like, I've got some fitness and physique guys.
Is it like a figure athlete or a physique athlete?
It's a physique and fitness program.
They're going to do extra stuff like arms and calves and stuff.
It's arms, abs, calves.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
So
we just need that extra day to get those in without making your workout so freaking long.
And then wellness is the other kind of anomaly to all of that, where it might be lower full body, lower full body, lower.
Yeah.
So 3 lowers, but you're almost doing legs on every day,
so
because you're trying to create an imbalance.
My typical split for an athlete, and remember, I'm only coaching females, so mine's a lower upper, then full day, but it's a full day of the weaker body parts.
Yeah, cool.
So it's
almost
a weak point day.
Bring up day,
Yeah, it's a weak point day. Yeah, but again, on that lower, I'm not doing all the lower. If their hamstrings are too strong, I'm not going to touch them.
For sure.
So
depends on the athlete.
And
what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I also want to say, I don't think after all these years that I've got this is the way and it's perfect for everyone.
No.
I still use multiple different splits for different people based on their life. And I don't think, if I look at the results that we've had as coaches, neither of us would be like, it's because of the split. It's because of so many other things.
Yeah.
It's probably not the split that's the big overriding success factor.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you could have the best split in the world as well, and if they're not training with intensity,
and your inheritance shit,
and your inheritance shit,
and your nutrition management shit, it's like
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Yeah. Okay, moving on to something completely different. If you could live in another state in Australia, where would you pick?
Oh, man, I like all states. I love SA.
Okay, yeah.
I do love Adelaide. I'd be interested in. I wouldn't mind living in WA and just seeing what that's like. But then I love going down to Tassie too. I love going down to Tassie as well. But yes, if I have to pick one, I'm going to say Adelaide.
You're going to say SA?
Yeah.
I was going to say WA.
Yeah, WA's gross.
But SA is good too because it's on the coast and I'm picking places that are quiet. So,
man,
SA, WA, Tassie,
for me, every time I go to SA, I just feel calm.
Yeah, it is a pretty chill place.
I like good people. Yeah. Lots of good people. There's good people.
I haven't seen enough of WA.
So that's the same.
We've literally been flying in, flying out. So
Yeah, I've got, as you know, I've got a lot of friends that are living up there and athletes that I coach as well.
Yeah.
So what I've seen is just with them.
Yeah.
So like I'm seeing kind of their worlds, which are awesome. But yeah, there's some bloody beautiful spots in WA.
Okay. How do you process unexpected situations occurring on show day? I don't know if they mean that from us, from like a director's perspective.
As an MC?
As an MC?
Just be honest. Oh, I think it's coaches. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got to think like you can only do what you do with the time that you got. Sometimes the best strategy as a coach, if something's like blowing up or going crazy, is just to show that you can't, which you're great at.
Yeah, yeah.
Is like even if you are a little panicky and like maybe you can't change what's going to happen, but if you make your athlete feel like it's going to be okay, even if maybe it's not, that's part of your job. So the first thing I'd say is calmness. Just take a few deep breaths. You know, is the issue and is what you're going to be able to do really going to make that much of a difference? You know, maybe it's not. Let's just use cycle coming on show. You'd be great, right? So, like, how detrimental was it? What did you do? And did it really affect the outcome in the end? Like, that'd be a really good example.
I literally had 2 clients this season. And so what I do, stay calm. It's like, okay, cool. It is what it is. We might adjust.
Can't get rid of it.
We might adjust maybe the peaking protocol on the day, because when they told me on the day. So
it's perfect. That's why it's a perfect example.
So it's a little bit of adjustment in sodium or water. That's it. That's all you can do. Keep them calm. Chill them out. Like, there was, on my face, I was not affected.
For sure.
Yeah.
If he looks stressed when that's happening,
something's really
and I'm the athlete, I'm like, I must look like shit.
Yeah.
If he's like, it's fine, can't even notice it.
Yeah.
I'll move on. So it's all about mindset management.
Yeah. Also, too, is with that specific scenario on the day, the female feels like they look worse or they feel like they're bloated in their tummy, but you look at them, you wouldn't even be able to tell.
Yeah, a lot of it's just what they're feeling internally.
But it doesn't make a difference at all. So reassuring them that you look amazing and you can't even tell. Like, unless you told me, I wouldn't even know. So, but yeah, staying calm and just problem solving. And also, too, is if there's no solution, then don't tell your client that, okay, you're fucked, we've got no solution.
Yeah, don't do that. And there's also, like, if you're, say, new or inexperienced, which is totally fine, there's also some really, smart and educated people that have been on the comp scene for a while that are probably there that you could lean on and be like, hey, can I just grab your thoughts? And like, if you ask me, even though I'm emceeing side stage, I'd tell you what I think.
Totally.
And I would remain calm too, so that your athlete was calm. So, you're also not alone. Like, if you ever needed help at a show, I'm sure there'd be heaps of coaches that would be 100% happy to help if you weren't sure what to do.
Yeah. What other podcasts do you guys listen to in your spare time? What do you listen to?
Oh man, like I thrash Joe Rogan a lot.
Same. I just listened to him before.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I was like Theo. I don't know. You know what it is for Theo? It's like I know that he's not talking about anything related to my hobby, but it's just nice sometimes to just get in the head of somebody who's just living life, man.
Yeah.
And like living in the realness and trying to be present and talking about shit that we probably have thought about once or twice, but haven't actually spoken about.
He's very relatable.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's why. And he makes me laugh. And sometimes, we spend a lot of time doing what we do in this industry, that just to sit back and listen to somebody talk about, some of the shit he does, like how he used to buy porn as a teenager off a guy who would draw it because they had no access to it. And he's like, we used to pay $4. And Joe Rogan's like, $4, like you'd pay $8.
Yeah, I think the most podcasts that we share between each other, like reels, is Joe Rogan and Theo.
Yeah. It's it's nice to just laugh, man.
The best trend that's going on at the moment is the baby podcast.
Yeah, how Theo Von talking, but
Yeah, man. I've got to work out how to do it for us.
I do love that.
How good would it be if I could try to sort it out so I could AI
Please
us as babies talking on the podcast?
If there's anyone who knows how, message MT, because like that'll be so funny.
All right. Any workshops planned for winter season? We actually just spoke about this in our directors meeting recently. We're actually going to be running majority of workshops after winter. Yeah. So we're going to run them mostly in August. Yeah. And that calendar will be coming out really, really soon. There might be one. Look, but actually that's NBA run. We have posing coaches that are running NBA workshops, branded NBA workshops on our behalf that we can attend if we are available, but
we've authorized.
But we've authorized.
Yeah.
So there will definitely be NBA workshops, but they won't be run solely by the directors, by us. They'll be run by those posing coaches, but we will also be releasing.
Yeah, and these are some of the country's best posing coaches. So
Of course, yeah. So they probably don't even need us really there. But we will be having structured workshops that are initiated and run by NBA in August that we're going to be releasing soon. So that's that. Bikini bottom cuts for females, pro or micro pro? Both. I've seen both. I think if you're employing someone that makes bikinis, they're going to tell you what's the best cut for you. But from an MBA approval perspective,
I've seen both do well, and I've never looked at either and been like, that's way better or that's way better.
No.
Again, I think it just depends on your glutes.
Yeah,
depends on your hip bones.
Yeah,
I think that's. But yeah,
either
both have done very well.
Yeah. I have seen Masters Pro cards in fitness awarded this year, but I haven't seen any awarded in swimsuit or bikini yet. Yeah, not yet this season. Yet.
And it's just there's not as many Masters swimsuit competitors
or bikini.
If you look at the age demographic of swimsuit, it's probably sub 30 years old. Like it's probably closer to 24 or 25 to be honest.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the older you get, the more opportunity you have to build muscle. So there's probably going to be more sports and fitness competitors in the 40+ age bracket.
And figure.
And if you look at nationals this year, there was 13 40+ sports models. That answers the question right there. It's a muscularity and a time thing.
Yeah.
If there was a 40+ swimsuit athlete that was worthy,
100%,
they might go on.
Totally.
Yeah, it's not a rule.
It's not a rule. Yeah. When will I get my photos from nationals and how do I access them? So Charles will be sending all athletes an email, whether you pre-purchased or not. Everyone gets an email.
I think I might have already gone.
I think some have already gone out. Cool. I don't think the whole
it'll be close.
Gone out, but it'll be close. So just stay tuned. You'll be getting an email from Charles. Check your spam.
The goat.
The goat.
The goat, Charles Logan.
What dessert do you guys enjoy having on a day-to-day basis? I don't have any dessert.
No, I'm an ice cream guy. Everyone knows that. I love platter pop.
Yeah. No, I don't have any.
As seen on this podcast many times. Yeah, I love ice cream. For me, you'll never see me eating a slice of cake.
Yeah.
A Tim Tam, a donut, a biscuit. I've never liked them. Like it's never been something I've wanted my whole life. A little bowl of ice cream, different story.
Yeah, well, we know
I'll
that.
go to town on that with no hands. You know, when I was like 12 years old, my parents took me to Fiji, and I won an ice cream eating competition, which was meant to be one hand tied behind your back, and you had to use the spoon with your opposite hand. I won with both hands tied behind my back. I just fucking raw dogged it. I did, man. And I beat everybody who had a hand with no hands. You can ask my parents, that's the true story. So ice cream is my shit.
Is there any photos of that?
Maybe.
There's probably some photos. There'll be no video.
That is a true story.
What if you were to go out and like to a dessert place? What would you
Crème
glacée? Okay.
Again, I will order the kids' ice cream at a fancy restaurant.
Yeah, okay.
You saw me do that in WA.
Yeah, but the ice cream was nice and the sorbet was awesome.
Ask Kat Kavanagh about why ice cream.
What milk do you have in your coffee?
Well, I used to be almond, but because of you, I now drink oat milk.
It's oat milk. So actually, talk about Kat Kavanagh. When we were in Perth at the dinner table, we were having that conversation
about milk.
About milk, yeah, because
remember I ordered a little crazy because we were having oat.
Yeah, she's like, "What do you oat? Like, what do you?"
What did Kat have?
I can't remember, but she was obviously.
I think she. Anyway.
But she goes. I said, "I've got a reason for how I got to oat." So how it started is.
Yeah, what is the reason?
In prep, I used almond milk in my coffee.
Unsweetened?
Yeah, to reduce the calories, right? But then almond milk curdles. The unsweetened one, not the barista one, the unsweetened one.
That's the additives and shit.
Yeah, curdles, right? So then I went to oat milk because it doesn't curdle. And I just stuck to it. And also, too, is digest better because then I went back to full cream lactose. Lactose no good. So even for me, ice cream, I don't have any ice cream anymore.
I actually like the flavour of oat milk latte now.
Yeah, it's good.
So you started me on oat milk.
Yeah, oat milk's great. We've got to get onto it. Actually, talking about oat milk latte, just while we just digress for a little bit. When I went to Korea, that time, South Korea, for the ICN Universe, the way they make an oat latte is they actually put little sprinkles of oats on the top.
I just want to get this stuff on my beer like that.
Actually, just put a little bit of oats on top.
I'm going to ask the next cafe to do that for me.
Okay. Where are we down here? Let's go. What's the best way to leave a coach who you adore and are your friend? I just need someone with more experience. What's the best time to leave a coach post-show?
Yeah.
We've discussed this one before too.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, again, it would be so easy if, that coach had, done something to you, or you didn't have that nice relationship. And that doesn't always happen. But I think the one thing that we always talk about, and this is really valid to anything you do in life, is just about honesty and transparency. If I'm that coach on the other end, I'd love to know the true reasons why.
Yes.
And if it's just, I only know what I know and I want to experience something different, that is a valid reason. And I want to see what somebody who's been doing it for 10 years does versus you. But at least if I'm that coach and you tell me that, it'll give me the ability to process why you're leaving. If you don't tell me the real reasons why, and then, that coach is having to guess and think about what they could have done better, I think just being honest and transparent is the best way to go forward. The second you start making stuff up and you just get caught in a web of lies, it just ends up a shit experience for everybody.
100%.
So just be honest and transparent. Have your reasons why. But just also know, like, we've been in it a long time. People move on and switch and that sort of stuff happens. If you're wanting to see what somebody else does because, you think that there might be a different level, you're allowed to feel and want whatever you want.
Exactly.
But just be honest.
Yeah. And if you're the coach listening to this and there is an athlete that comes to you and they are your friend as well, act professionally.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And also too is if you leave on good terms, when they have a first timer coming to them and saying who should coach me, they'll be like, go to that person.
Sure.
They were great for me when I first started.
For sure.
So if you act professionally, you will still get referrals from that client
Without
that
a
left
doubt.
you because of the way you act and
Without a
conducting
doubt.
yourself. So
And then the other part to that is they go to that other coach. Let's say the experience isn't great. Guess what? You're just now up here. But more so what you said, I think that's more important is always hold yourself to a high level of professionalism in everything that you do, even if that's not how you feel in the moment.
yes,
Because if you do something or say something, you'll regret it later, and you just always want to be seen as a good character.
Yeah.
And how you conduct yourself in a interaction like that, one says a lot about you, but equally it'll determine what that person says about you a year from now.
Exactly right.
And I just sent one of my athletes to another coach because the goal's shifting, and I think this coach is going to be better to. So, like, it happens. It's not a personal thing.
Yep.
It's just like, this is going to be the better outcome for you, and I'm okay with it. But we were just so honest with each other. It was an easy process.
Yeah. I actually had the same couple of weeks ago. A client wanted to go enhanced, and I was like, well, I don't have any knowledge, so
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I've got to pass it on. How do you choose a prep coach? If you're in the off season, or even if you're in prep, are there many options, coaches? What's a reasonable cost for a coach per week?
Yeah.
So, how do you choose a coach?
Yeah, I think, and we've spoken about this a lot too,
Yeah.
but I think you want to find somebody who, one, aligns with your values.
Yes.
You want to know what that coach's methodology is. So you want to have a meeting. You want to know what systems they use. You want to know how accountable you're going to be. You want to know what you're going to get from them. You want to know what their clients are saying, and you want to know how their clients are performing. I don't mean performing in the sense of the placings, the overalls.
Correct.
Are their clients getting better?
Yes.
Because I might coach 20 clients who are first timers who aren't yet at a pro level, but the results that I've got these 20 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
When you look at their starting position, sure, you're not seeing them win overalls, but maybe what I've been able to do with those clients is actually better than the client who just won and dominated life a bit. Like,
yeah,
it's just good to look at what their athletes are doing, how they're feeling, what they're putting out, and get feedback from them too. So that's how I choose a coach.
Yep.
What is an average cost? Oh, let's step back one. I mentioned about off-season coaching. Yes. I think too many people just get coaches for prep and don't get coaches in off-season. And actually, it's probably the time you should have the coach just as much as prep because, that's when you're going to become the better version of yourself in the growth phase. It's called bodybuilding. It's not called body shredding. So as a bodybuilder, you should have a coach when you're building. Most people don't. They finish the comp. They might let the coach reverse them and they're done. Terrible decision. The athletes that seem to do the best over a 5-year period are the ones that have the coach the whole way time.
Yeah. And you're the same as me is I won't take anyone on just for a prep.
No, you don't want to start a prep with somebody that you've got nothing on. You don't know enough about it.
No.
More time is better. Every good coach out there, will say that the coach's job is the strategy and the planning. Your job is the adherence and execution. The longer we both get to do both those parts, the better the outcome will be, guaranteed.
Yeah. So agree with everything that you said. I think also too is one of the things that you hit on was not the placings that coaching is getting, but how they are progressing and transforming
Sure.
people, right?
Absolutely.
Because we spoke about this on maybe another podcast. Someone asked who's the best IFBB coach or whatever it was. I can't remember what the question was. And it's more so, it's like the best coach is the one that transforms the most bodies
For sure.
of all different shapes and sizes and categories, right? That's the best coach, not the one that wins everything.
Undoubtedly.
So find a coach like that.
Yeah, and I think Rich just put up a post or a thing, something very similar. Yeah,
Wouldn't surprise me.
about like don't look at the coaches that are winning, look at the coaches that are transforming happy clients.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then speak to that coach's clients so they can actually tell you what it's like to be coached by that person.
For sure.
And then see if that coach is also coaching people that are similar to you, similar to what your goal is, similar to the category, division, federation that you want to be in. And they know how to coach someone for that. And they know, what the criteria is, and they know how to produce a good quality athlete as well. And also too is when you have a conversation with them, because the first thing that you should get out of a coach when you ask them an inquiry is, can we get in a call, not just them sending you a bunch of prices.
Oh, for sure. And which is what we always say, like, let's catch up, let's Zoom,
is get a vibe. What's the relationship like between you and that person?
How do you gel? How do you connect?
How do you connect? It's really, really important because you're in a partnership together.
It's going to be long term.
It's going to be long term.
So it needs to work.
Yeah. And then costing?
I would say
90 to 120, I'm guessing.
If we're using a $30 average, I reckon that's spot on the money. Sure, there's probably some $80 coaches, and sure, there's probably some 150 coaches. I think, for anyone who's got, proven track records of great outcomes.
Yeah.
I use the word outcomes, not placings.
Yeah.
On that higher end, $100 to $120 is normal.
Yeah.
I'm cheaper than that, but
the three of you inspire me with how much you seem to be doing and never show stress. Lately, I've been struggling with fitting it all in and wonder if there's anything you can say to keep me in check or to stay calm in the chaos.
Wow, that's really nice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that question.
Yeah.
I do. Because you know what? Sometimes just, like, we do a lot, you're calmer than me through it all. And that's, one of your greatest attributes. I'm not saying that it's an easy thing for you to do. I admire that about you. Sometimes, I feel like we're barely keeping our heads above water and you're just grinding and grinding. And, to know that people are probably seeing how much you're doing, it's just nice that people have someone's taken the time to do that. But, there's definitely moments where there isn't calmness. I often feel like I'm just surviving or just keeping my head above water. And, I lean on you in those times. And it's all around, for me, it's about who's around you.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like there's people that you show your calmness to and that you show your pose and your presence. But then there's also people that you need for support and they see you stressed out. They see the struggles that you're going through.
Yeah, they need to know the reality of the situation. But there's not many of those people.
Not many of those people, yeah, 100%. So you need a good support system that you trust and that you also respect their advice and you take on their advice as well.
Yeah.
But for me, you know how I am. I'm very process, routine. That's how I keep the calmness in the chaos.
For sure.
Is to know what I need to do, when I need to do it, and how to execute it. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I've been working on to get a lot better at, through reading and through learning is to give my best effort and not try and manage everybody else's thoughts or not try and think how everybody else is going to feel or act and, assume, is to kind of, do myself, let other people do what they need to do, but make sure that I'm always presenting the best version of myself. And that's kind of how I'm good says, like, am I giving my best effort right now? I can hold my head high.
Yeah.
Is there 3 or 4 things I still need to do? Yes. But is it my best effort right now? Yes. Then I'm okay with that. If it's not my best effort, I'm just being a lazy prick, then I hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
And that's when I use that thing that I told you I got out of that book. It's like, if there's something that I need to do and I'm like, I'm tired, I don't have time to do it, but it needs to be done, I can either procrastinate or I just count down from 5. Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start the task. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. I know it sounds stupid. I got it out of that book, Let Them, but for me, it works. It's like, as soon as I start that countdown, now my brain's like, you can't not do it. In the movie Liar Liar, where he's like, you can't lie.
Yeah.
He's like, he's got no choice. So for me, as soon as that 5 starts down,
Yeah.
we've got to do that task. So
Well,
try that.
well,
Try a technique like that. Simple but effective.
this is the last question on my list. Any secret squirrel business?
Secret what?
Squirrel business.
Squirrel?
Squirrel.
Like is it the animal squirrel?
Yeah. Yeah, secret squirrel business. When people go like
Any secret squirrel, as in like the three of us got secret business thing?
Yeah, I haven't finished reading it.
Oh, sorry. I got something. What does that mean?
Where you may know where nationals will be for next year in season C.
Oh.
Also, just want to say how much you guys rock. Watching the pod each week while doing steps is such a highlight for me. You're all such great people, amazing role models in all aspects of natural bodybuilding. Appreciate you. So thank you so much for those kind words.
I appreciate you. So I'll address the second bit. Thank you. Means the world. We love you. You can address the first bit.
The secret business.
Squirrel.
Squirrel business. Do we want to say what we're doing? Yeah, why not? So we already know next year, season A, 2026, the Nationals will be in Gold Coast. And for season C, we're coming back to Melbourne for the Nationals for season C.
There
you go.
Squirrel business.
That squirrel business
Not
is just
squirrel
been
anymore.
revealed. Yeah, so we're doing Nationals season C 2026. Season A is Gold Coast. Did we decide on winter? Did we say Melbourne as well? I can't remember if we rotated it or if we decided for winter next year.
I know the answer.
Oh, do you know the answer?
But, yeah, I just don't know that we've locked it down, that's all.
Okay. That's still secret squirrel
Yeah,
business.
there's one, there's another secret squirrel business.
That's it. You got any more questions or are we good?
I mean, I've got some funny ones if you want me to bring them up.
Quick.
I mean, I've got some serious ones, but let's just go with the funny ones.
Okay, cool.
In order, you, MT, and Scotty, who is spooning who in a line? What's the order? That's Timsy, of course. Who's...
Just to make it like easiest, can we just go from shortest to tallest?
Yeah, so
it'll be you,
Scotty,
spooning Scotty,
Scotty spooning,
Scotty spooning me.
I like that. Yeah, I'm down for that. That sounds good. Because like, what is it? You know, Scotty's got that big chest and those big glutes. He always smells nice. So that's perfect for me. But then you miss out. You get no one.
I get miss, but I get cuddled by Scotty. So
yeah, I'll take that.
We're good.
I'll take that. Let me just see if there's others. There is others, but is there anything that's worth answering? Let's have a look. Maybe one more. Oh, when are the Three Musketeers hitting the stage again?
Oh, when are we hitting the stage? My goal is next year, middle of next year, mid-year. It's because it's the quietest season for NBA. But I might pick a show that's kind of early spring as well. Federations to be confirmed, but obviously there's not many federations that run during that time of the year. And to be confirmed whether I'll be traveling internationally for anything. But obviously I'm going to need to travel interstate. But that's me. Are you still?
Man, I could be retired, or I could be 7 weeks out. Who knows?
Are you in winter this year?
Who knows? I could be retired, or I could be, in my final digging phase. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Okay.
But everybody.
Scotty, I don't know.
Yeah, I think 2027 is the year after.
So not actually the year after.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just wait and just do it with him, and then just try.
I'm trying to convince Scotty to have another kid. Okay. Like how it's like I'm part of that relationship. Sorry, Jen. I just. But hang on, such a great dad. It's like I want to see it.
So he might have another one. Well, you're going to convince him. You probably want to have another one.
Yeah, definitely.
Then I'll have one.
Exactly.
So we'll just all three of us.
Yeah, you're talking. Could you imagine if we lined that up?
Jesus.
We'll just get a hotel room. And go.
All right, let's leave it there.
Thanks everyone for listening. Cool. We hope you enjoyed it. We did cover a lot today, which was
we did awesome. Thanks everyone.
See you on the next time.
See ya.